The film, based on true events, begins with a young boy named Mike Connolly, who has cerebral palsy. Despite his condition, the boy takes up wrestling. Neither coordination issues nor teasing from classmates could stop him. But one day, during a match, his opponent threw Mike onto the mat, and he broke his collarbone. That was the end of his wrestling training. 10 years have passed since then. All these years, the young man has been going through rehabilitation and performing special exercises. It is the only way he can maintain mobility and prevent complications from his CP. Since childhood, Mike has stood out for his strong spirit and determination. He comes to a high school for an open house. A woman from the admissions office immediately directs him to a special education class. Mike insists that he wants a regular class, not a support class, but they still take him to see Miss Freud. The guy is upset and goes straight to the principal. Mike not only wants to study in a regular class, he also plans to join the school wrestling team. The principal assures the young man that he'll be accepted into a regular class and can go ahead and submit his application. Mike is confident that he'll surprise everyone. Mike goes to the weight room and helps another guy with a barbell. His name is Jeff. At first, because of Mike's strange speech, Jeff thinks he's drunk, but he later apologizes. He's very surprised to learn that this guy with CP plans to wrestle. The next day, Mike arrives at the school gym. Everyone immediately starts talking about this limping freak. The tough coach, Warren, makes it clear that it will not be easy for anyone. He decides to hold an endurance test to immediately weed out the weak. The boys will have to run up and down stairs and do push-ups to the point of exhaustion. Warren offers Mike the option to run laps instead of climbing stairs, but Mike replies that he'll do everything just like the others. Mike comes to literature class and instantly falls for a girl sitting behind him. Petty seems to like this charming, shuffling newcomer too. Mike wants to introduce himself but gets embarrassed when he catches her friends staring at him. The girls stand off to the side and whisper about him. Mike's father devotes all his free time to his son. The man helps train not only his son's body but his mind as well. In the cafeteria, Mike eats alone. Some guy starts mocking him. After class, the bully picks on Mike again. He insults him and starts pushing the disabled boy around. Jeff sees this, tackles the bully, and brings him down on the grass. Mike hides behind the school and breaks into tears. Jeff tries to cheer him up and drags him into the gym. They'll train together for the qualifying matches. Jeff says he believes in Mike, but he'll have to train a lot, even more than the others. Later, the two of them go to a girls' aerobics class. Mike tries so hard to follow the exercises that he nearly loses his shorts. At home, he continues staring at female athletes on TV. That way, the pedals on his stationary bike spin much faster. In the library, Mike was once again about to approach Petty, but her friends got in the way again. In the weight room, Coach Warren gave the boy some useful advice. It does not matter whether he lifts 450 pounds or 45. What matters is doing everything properly, and the muscles will grow. The coach understood that Mike needed more attention than the other students. At the same time, Warren tried to talk him out of wrestling and offered bowling instead. But our hero believes bowling is for retirees. He wants to wrestle. Mike asked him to give him a chance. Well then, he would have to prove that he could do it. The coach loaded the leg press machine with 8 plates. Mike had to press that massive weight 3 times. It seemed like he had no chance, but he pulled himself together and straightened his legs 3 times. Everyone was stunned, and the coach realized that Mike was serious. If only he would get less distracted by girls and more focused on training. Jeff began practicing moves with his new friend. It was important for him to do well in the competition too. It was his ticket to college. In the school hallway, Mike looked at Petty and realized the time had come. He finally walked up to the girl and talked to her. That fear was conquered. Knew he had to overcome the show-off Troy, who kept bullying him. But the thug pinned Mike to the mat without even breaking a sweat. Mike, feeling like a weakling, was upset. Troy got a place on the team, and he did not. Warren offered him the role of assistant coach, but Mike did not want a handout. At home, the young man started rehearsing how to ask Petty out on a date, but he could not even pronounce her name properly. Mike hated his body, especially his arm, which he could never straighten. He was sick and tired of being disabled. His father told him not to be discouraged. Failure happens to everyone, but if you want something badly enough, you have to stay strong and keep pushing forward. The next day, Mike came up to the coach and accepted the offer to become his assistant. One of the assistant's duties was to act as a dummy for demonstrating wrestling techniques. The coach worked with Mike after school. The boy got embarrassed when passing girls giggled at him. The coach advised him not to focus so much on trying to impress others just to be liked. Mike told Warren that during birth, the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, cutting off oxygen to his brain for too long, and that is why he is the way he is. His condition will not get any worse, and intensive training can only help. During an inter-school wrestling tournament, one of the team's wrestlers went missing, and Mike started begging to take his place since otherwise their school would be fined. The coach reluctantly agreed, and Mike quickly changed into his uniform. A pretty strong opponent stepped onto the mat and just laughed at the sight of such a rival. He threw Mike down again and again, then easily pinned him. The jerk did not even shake his opponent's hand, but Mike was not upset. The important thing was that he was finally allowed to wrestle. However, Mike's joy was short-lived. His father found out that he had started wrestling again behind his back, and Jeff had accidentally let it slip. So the athlete decided to help Mike in the love department and dialed Petty's number. But a man answered the phone and assumed Mike was drunk. It turned out that Jeff had played a prank and called an Alcoholics Anonymous hotline instead. Jeff believed that a girl like Petty could never love someone with a disability and thought his friend needed someone more like him. But Mike did not agree. During a school break, he approached Petty again and invited her to have lunch with him. Meanwhile, Mike's father came to speak with Coach Warren. The two men argued about whether the boy should continue wrestling. Dak just did not want to see his son suffer. The coach admitted that at first, he had been afraid he would have to babysit a disabled kid, but Mike turned out to be stronger than most. Taking wrestling away from him would be like taking away his very life. Dak listened and agreed to let his son continue training. That day, Mike managed to do 2 pull-ups and began climbing the rope. Jeff got distracted watching him and fell from a great height onto his back. The injury was serious. Jeff admitted to Mike that he could not feel his legs. Physical therapy might help him walk again, but wrestling was no longer an option, which meant college was out of the question too. Mike tried to cheer up his friend, saying that exercise would help him recover, but Jeff responded that he did not want to end up like another cripple. 3 months passed. Jeff's legs still did not respond. Mike, having plenty of experience with rehabilitation, helped his friend every day to regain his strength. One day, Mike gathered the courage to ask Petty out on a proper date. They had a great time together, but the girl clarified right away that they could only be friends. She did not want to give him false hope. Mike understood and thanked Petty for a wonderful evening. He continued participating in competitions. Dak now came to every one of his son's matches, but Mike had not won a single match yet. Troy made a nasty comment, blaming Mike for injuring Jeff when he was needed the most, and still losing to a weak opponent. At home, Mike's father unexpectedly said that he should quit wrestling. He could not bear to watch his son be humiliated any longer. But Mike replied that the truth was, his father was just ashamed of him. Mike asked to at least finish the season. It was only 6 weeks. Dak agreed, but only on the condition that Mike's studies would not suffer. Soon the team would be facing its strongest opponent. Every wrestler had to give 100%. They needed someone to replace Jeff. As it turned out, the only one who also weighed 176 pounds was Mike. Balding Troy weighed 192. He and Mike were going to face off, and if the brute lost, he would have to cut down to 176. Troy was sure he would once again crush the disabled kid with ease. But over the past few months, Mike had grown stronger and gained experience. He managed to pin the bully to the mat, and it happened right in front of his father. That was how Mike earned the right to take Jeff's place in the upcoming competition. To celebrate the occasion, Dak gave his son a gift, a 3-wheeled bicycle. The father apologized for hitting Mike and promised that he would always believe in him. Jeff managed to take a few steps without support. Mike had helped him a lot, so the therapist offered Jeff a part-time job at the rehab center. In the meantime, he continued training hard and preparing for the competition. The school administration presented Mike with a special award for his strength of spirit and teamwork. He was a true phenomenon, someone everyone should look up to. At prom night, Mike wanted to ask Petty to dance, but Jeff beat him to it. Still, Mike did not back down and nudged his friend aside. He and Petty agreed to go to the movies again, just as friends. The final day of the competition arrived. Mike managed to do 3 pull-ups for the first time. Jeff had recovered and was ready to compete himself, but he wanted to give his friend the opportunity instead. Today, it was Mike who would represent their school. The young man pulled himself together and stepped onto the mat. His opponent greeted him with a smirk. It seemed like Mike was being underestimated again. The wrestler in blue started laughing when Mike nearly fell and was immediately warned for unsportsmanlike behavior. After that, the opponent got serious and began scoring points, but Mike put up a worthy fight. After being thrown, he responded with a counter move. He pushed the opponent off him, which made the other guy furious, and he quickly slammed Mike onto the mat. Mike landed hard and struggled to collect himself. He had to start from the bottom position. His opponent tried again and again to pin him, but Mike refused to give in. He broke free from one hold, only to get caught in another the very next second. The wrestler in blue racked up a lot of points in the match, but he still could not pin Mike. After the fight, the opponent acknowledged Mike's fighting spirit and lifted his hand in the air. That is where the film ends. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.